I think Brazos is joined today by Dennis Maloney, who's a sitting city council member, place 6. Is that right?
College Station.
And also a candidate for re-election in November of this year, 2021. So thank you so much, Councilman, for joining us today.
My pleasure.
So I wanted to ask you a few questions, but before I did, I was looking up your background, and I noticed that you are actually a painter, and you've been a painter for maybe, what'd you say, 40 years?
Only 45.
Only 45 years, wow.
That's how I got through college, and it was the one thing I could do well because I was the worst English teacher in the universe.
Well, I got to tell you, I got to shake your hand, and here's why. I used to think I loved painting, but I redid the whole interior of my house and did all the painting myself this summer.
Yeah.
That is the most frustrating, to me anyways, the most frustrating job in the world because you have to be so careful. Maybe it's not my personality, but like I'm always impressed when I meet somebody who's done that for so many years.
I love people like you. It helps put my kids through college.
Exactly.
But, no, I love it. Painting to me is relaxing. It gives you time to think about other things.
Right.
And so
well, that's awesome.
It doesn't take many brain cells to paint, and I've proved that. So it's good.
Well, but you've also been on the city council, I'd say on and off, the College Station City Council for, I thought I saw since 1999.
1999 was when I was first elected. I've been on and off the council. I've served a total of 12 years on.
Wow.
So I've been involved with a lot of changes in the city of College Station. I'll tell you, it's interesting because Habitat. I never had an interview with Habitat, but when I first got on the council in '99, since I've been involved myself with painting homes and not new homes. I only repainted older homes for homeowners. I wouldn't work for a builder.
Right.
I always championed the idea of the city working with Habitat for Humanity to build homes. Because, well, the thing is, when I looked at our first budget and I saw how much money we were spending to build a home, I thought, hey, man, at the time, you could build a home for about $35, $40 a square foot. I said, we could get twice the home with Habitat for Humanity than us building a home. You know, we're subbing out to regular contractors.
Right.
And Habitat uses a lot of volunteer work.
Yeah.
Well, it turned out that there was some kind of state statute that prevented us from being able to do that. But I kept pounding it, and over the years, it finally came to fruition. So I'm real happy that we get a lot more house for a lot less money.
And especially the down payment assistance program.
We have a down payment assistant, Debbie Eller, at the City College Station. It's an excellent program. Can help you with all sorts of things for housing.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I'm going to cut to the chase with this thing, okay? Because I've thought about this a lot, affordable housing.
Sure.
And I've done construction myself, not for myself, my family, and everything. And so I know how expensive it is.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to give you an example. In College Station, the hardest thing is the land. It just costs so much money.
Right.
Here's an example. We lived on Welsh Avenue, my wife and I, since 1975, when I graduated A&M. And then we bought a house across the street from where we had rented from Dr. Glazner for 5 years.
Sure.
And we lived in that house for 33 years. And across the street, we bought a 2-bedroom duplex. Okay? Now, we were able to rent it cheap and kept it forever until we sold it 2 years ago. The reason why we sold it was that the taxes were $8,000.
Wow.
Okay? $8,000 of taxes. Why? Because the land was worth $250,000.
Yep.
The house itself was worth about 60 or 70. So I thought about this a lot. I thought, man, the problem with housing in College Station is the land cost. Up the street from us on Welsh was a Habitat for Humanity home. Nice guy, worked for the custodial service for A&M. Unfortunately, died of a heart attack, and now the house is a rental house.
His son had to sell it because he couldn't afford it.
They had to sell it. They had to sell it, and now it's a rental house for an investor, and we lost a home for the original intent. So here's the solution, okay? I thought about this. A&M University, when you build on their property, a guy built an airplane hangar for his jet out at Eastwood Airport. Okay, he built that, all right? He has a 50-year lease on that. He's going to be dead and gone by the time that lease expires. Yeah. At that time, that hangar goes to Texas A&M University.
So like a ground lease.
Right. Why can't Habitat for Humanity buy a hunk of land, own that land, lease it for $1, recurring lease for perpetuity, as long as it's owned by that family. And then when the family sells it, then the lease has to be relooked at. And if they sell it, let's say they sell the house for $400,000 because it's been 20 years in the future,
Right.
okay? Well, the land is worth $300,000. The house is worth $100,000. The owners get the $100,000. Habitat Humanity gets the land. Or Habitat Humanity can go ahead and renew the lease at a different price for someone else.
And that's something that we've actually looked at. I looked at it a few years ago,
Yeah.
and it's one of our options, the ground leasing idea. One of the things about it, which, maybe a different episode we can get into more in depth, but it is an intriguing idea. There are a few things related to, how would the city view it? But I'm happy that you're the one bringing it up, because sometimes cities say, well, we're leaving a lot of money on the table because of taxes or things like that. And so you really have to have city support behind you, and I'm glad to hear that this is an option you're actually interested in.
I don't see any other solution. And it's two-pronged attack for me. One, if Habitat owns the land, the people are still paying for the taxes on the structure
On the
itself.
house.
But as a nonprofit, you don't pay taxes on
Right.
the land. So, okay. And the other thing is this, man. Even if you get them in the house like that, if you're paying the people $7.50, $10 an hour, you're not getting that house, buddy. All you're doing is, you're working for the house.
Sure.
So we got to look at having a living wage in College Station. And that, I think we have to think about going to the $15 an hour level. I really do.
So we got you on record on that. I know there's some really interesting.
Listen, my employees, when I had employees there, I made $1 an hour off each employee. That's it. That's it. And believe me, I had to buy the brushes, the drop cloths, the ladders, and schlep them around with the, driving them and everything. I just felt like I shouldn't be making, or I don't know what the deal is. I got a weird philosophy, but I just thought, I wouldn't want to be treated that way.
Yeah.
And so $1 an hour, that helped me pay for the brushes and the drop cloths.
So tell me about this. So you've mentioned the land lease idea.
Right.
You also mentioned another idea for existing homeowners. I believe it was on WTAW, to give them credit, and it had to do with possibly working with the state to freeze people's taxes.
Right.
Is that something that you still...
I love this idea. Look, let me see. What is it? 63 to 70% of all housing in College Station is rental. Okay? 7 out of 10 of every rental property in College Station is owned by someone that doesn't live in College Station, Texas. They're owned by investors. Why? It's a cash cow. You get great return on your... They're getting 7% plus return on their investment. Try to find that anywhere else without gambling on the stock market. So I thought about this. You get in your house and you can afford it. Okay, you can just afford it. Everything works. And then inflation comes in and the land value goes up, the house value goes up, and suddenly you're paying as much for taxes as you did for your mortgage when you start out with a home. So if you're 65 and above, or if you're veterans that was injured, your taxes are frozen.
Correct.
So if you have a homestead, it seems to me that if you can freeze it for 65 and above, because you're limited income, why not for someone that gets into a Habitat for Humanity home, or anyone that just starts with their first home, why not freeze those taxes as long as you're living in that home, as long as it's owner-occupied and homestead exemption, okay? Then, when the house sells to the new owner, it's appraised at the market value, and the new owner, occupied with the homestead exemption, keeps that. Stays in that same niche. You're only talking about 30 to 35% of the houses. Okay,
so you don't think that would make a huge dent in the budget?
Everything makes a huge dent in the budget, but
that was my question to you.
Everything does, but the point is that if that's the case, you can, you tweak it. You have to tweak it. You have to find some way to tweak it, and it may be that you just pay a little bit extra for investment property.
Okay. Now, can we talk one more kind of housing-related issue that I think is working its way through the council in the next month or so is the impact fees.
Yeah.
I think that's something that's adjusted every year. I know there are feelings one side or another on it. Do you feel that we need to go up on those, or do you like impact fees as a principle?
Well, I think you have to have impact fees.
Okay.
I mean, some cities don't do it, but that means that the current tax-paying base is paying for the development. Okay? Impact fees. You can some cities. I'll give you an example. Out in Snook, Texas, they're building a gazillion houses right now.
Sure.
They're going to double the size of that city. They're selling those houses for the same price they're selling for in here.
Mm.
Okay, they don't have impact fees like here.
Interesting.
So don't tell me the impact fees cost, is the reason why things cost a lot. The reason why things cost a lot is because there's pressure from the investment community. The solution for me isn't getting rid of impact fees. You need impact fees because I need roads, I need sewer, I need water. If I don't have them, someone has to pay for them. So are you going to have the people that have already paid for their sewer, water, and roads
Right.
pay for new sewer, water, and roads for people that aren't even here yet?
Mm-hmm.
Or should the people for the houses that are being put up, shouldn't the price in there include the cost for a percentage of the cost for the sewer, water, roads, and park systems that are required there? Someone has to pay for it, so I don't know how else you're going to do it. And so that's why you do the impact fees. So I support impact fees, but they have to be fair, and we're looking at it. Most cities do it. Others that are desperate to have construction would just say, "Come on in and build." But in the long run, if you don't have a funding base for those infrastructure needs, you're going to be paying the price down the line.
And so one idea that was thrown out, I think, at the last council meeting was maybe in certain areas building certain types of housing, specifically modest starter homes, affordable housing, that there may be some adjustment to the fee structure. You thought about that?
I believe Habitat, if you're a nonprofit, and you have to be careful about nonprofit. I'm talking about nonprofit like Habitat, who's well vetted, historically known for being honest to God, frugal with their money, hardworking people. They got a great philosophy. You teach people how to manage their money, how to make simple repairs in your home, how to be a good neighbor. You do it right. Now you can have some others that are, for instance, Goodwill's a nonprofit, right?
Sure.
Well, the guy that runs Goodwill gets paid $1 million a year.
Oh, wow.
Guess what? Until a few years ago, the NFL was a nonprofit.
I remember hearing that.
Why? All you have to do is say, hey, you know what? No one is making a profit. We distribute all the money to everyone. So, so you have to be careful about it. I'm saying if you have a nonprofit vetted like Habitat for Humanity, then I'm willing to partner with them on anything so that they don't pay any fees for anything. Just get in there and set up. Why? That's part of our right. We have CDBG funds. Community Development Block Grant funds that we could use to help pay for those fees that are needed for the infrastructure.
Right.
And I'll give you an example. We tried, back in my last time I was on the council, at the time before, I forget which, we bought about 9 acres of land on Holloman Drive west of the skating rink and the fire station, okay? The point of that was that we wanted to find affordable housing. It's one of the things that council at that time was championing. Let's try to do an affordable housing project here and show people we're close to parks, we're close to school, close to shopping. I mean, it's excellent. Well, I decided not to run for re-election. I just got burned out, and so I didn't run for re-election. The next council came in there and sold that land. And now they have dozens and dozens of 3-story townhomes there that sell for $400,000 a piece. Because the land is worth so much and you're close to campus. But it would have been nice to have a little community there.
Right.
Where they're they're very close to the schools, shopping, parks, and everything.
Yeah.
You know, and the mall. I mean, we just lost that opportunity. But the challenge is finding the land. And the only solution to the land, again, I go back to the original premise. If you own the land and you lease it, you own it. Then the house is affordable in terms of taxes.
Have you thought about also the idea of looking at minimum lot sizes? You know, we already mentioned that you've got the dirt is the problem.
Right.
That's the expensive thing.
Right.
You know, the ground lease is one idea. Another idea is some cities, San Antonio years ago went to 3,000 square feet versus 5,000 or 7. And, you know, you're able to have families that maybe can afford it a little bit better. I'm not talking about in the areas where it's $200,000,
right, no,
but in some of the areas where it's a little bit less, like in some of the neighborhoods in Habitat.
Well,
have you thought about that?
I thought about it, and I look at it, and I look at the Camelo development up on the north side of Bryan.
Okay.
And their lots, they have only 10 feet apart from one another, smaller lots, lay down curbs and everything, and nice little homes and affordable homes. try driving a fire truck through there one night. It ain't going to happen. Because when you have that much density without parking,
Sure.
you have a real safety issue. So
It's a conundrum.
I live. Fran and I moved out of the South Side
Sure.
because it was overrun by investment properties, and there was we were the only owner-occupied home on the block.
Right.
We moved out of there into a patio home,
Okay.
and so we are 5 feet away from our neighbors. And they're designed well that you don't even see them. You know, it's
Wow.
very nice, and I like that. They're small little lots, and it works. But we also have off-street parking in places, and we all have double garages with parking out in the front. So you would have to design it in such a way and restrict it in such a way. And at the same time, I think you would have to have a homeowners association to look after the maintenance of the yards a certain way. Otherwise, it's going to look like trash in no time at all. I don't care who lives there. I don't care how much money you make. There's always someone that says, you know what, I ain't cutting the grass.
Sure.
You know, I ain't going to paint the house, that kind of thing. So I could look at that if we provided if we could find the parking solution, okay, and if we had the maintenance, the exterior maintenance of the site.
We'd like to take a minute to thank the Habitat Restore for furnishing the studio and let you know that everything, and I mean everything, in the video version of this podcast is currently for sale. Except the politicians, of course. If you haven't checked out our Restore, you definitely should. The Habitat for Humanity Restore is the Brazos Valley's premier resale shop, where the proceeds of every piece of furniture or decor donated to us go on to help fund building decent, affordable, and sustainable homes for families right here in our community. Here you can find everything from the ordinary to the extraordinary to the downright strange. Seriously, we've had a stuffed coyote donated, which sold surprisingly fast. Currently, we have a great collection of home furniture, including a china cabinet and an antique Singer brand sewing machine. I might have to buy that one. I'm telling you, before you pay full price for home decor, check out Habitat Restore. I'll put the Restore links in the show notes for you. All right, back to the interview.
I want to go more broadly from affordable housing to just the city in general. You're running for re-election. You're term limited after this term. Is that right?
Would be, yeah.
So not just in the next 3 years, but in the next 10 years, where would you hope College Station would be? You know, it can be fiscally a very broad question, I know. But what are some of your longer term goals for the city, even after you retire?
My goals have always been the same: to make College Station the best city in Central Texas, period. And I think we're finally getting there. We have a city manager and staff that's just incredibly talented and visionary. I mean, these people aren't thinking about keeping their jobs. They're thinking about how can we make College Station a better place to live in. So we've taken over our own branding now. We used to be under the antiquated Bryan College Station thing, you know.
Okay.
Well, that's old. People are coming to College Station because of Texas A&M University. We are the destination community. So I want to see us promote more of the arts. We have Wolfgang Creek, and we've got lots of students that are filled with all sorts of talent. We should be putting on their plays, their concerts, rock bands, whatever. Dance, whatever their skills are, we should be utilizing. We should be showcasing them at Wolfgang Creek. We need to bring in more entertainment venues. Why? Because we're a hospitality community. People come here to go to the school and to visit the school, and then why not spend another night or two coming to College Station and visit our restaurants, our parks, but also venues. Yeah. So we're looking to have a military heritage museum over at Veterans Park. That's going to be very exciting. Yeah. I would love to see us have a science and technology museum. I will never understand why in a university we don't have a science and technology museum.
Makes sense.
You know? I mean, agriculture mechanical museum. I mean, why don't we have these things? It doesn't make sense. It's always been, well, we only do the bare minimum. You know, but we're a big city now. We've got 120,000 people minimum, and a very diverse population, and we need to be looking after them. We need to be finding more things for them to do to keep them here. My kids, both college educated, advanced degrees, they won't live in town here. Why? Because there's nothing for them to do. I mean, you can go ice skating, you can go, go to the restaurants, but I mean, they live outside the Houston area, and in 15 minutes they can be in a world-class museum. We got one
Sure.
world-class museum in this community, you know, and that's the Bush Library.
Yeah.
We need more.
Okay.
So I like to see that. I like to look more theater. I like to see us get people more engaged in what's going on. You know, more parties, basically.
Okay.
This is a college town.
Very cool. So we got to get back totally to normal with the coronavirus thing first.
Yeah,
but-
yeah. But what's really exciting, and I'm proud to say that way back when in 1999, there was a lot of controversy about building a parking garage in Northgate. My God, this is a waste of money. You're going to lose money. And sure enough, we did. Now we're making money on it, but the point is that we're losing money on it. The reason why we did that garage, because there was a parking problem in Northgate, and businesses were suffering.
Yeah.
And we thought if we build a garage and provide this, that's going to spur more development. Drive down what used to be Northgate is now downtown College Station.
Sure.
And you see, it started with that garage, buddy.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
when I came here, this town had 17,000 people. So I've seen a lot.
When
of
was
changes.
that?
1970. I
1970.
hitchhiked down here to go to school in 1970.
Never look back, huh?
No, married a girl from Snook, Texas. Well,
Wow.
the suburb of Snook. She had a population of 12. People that
Suburb.
lived out on the A&M farm.
Oh, that's funny. Wow, 17,000. Yeah, my parents were here in the early 80s, and it was already 30,000.
Oh, that's when we had the big
something
oil
like
boom.
that.
I mean, that's when things were popping.
Oh, it was.
We bought a house. We bought a little 650 square foot home for $28,000 at 13% interest.
God.
That was a huge amount of money back then. If it was by today's standards, it'd been like over $200,000
Oh, yeah.
for this little piece of crap
Golly.
that needed everything. But we added on to it 4 times.
I wanted to, you briefly mentioned Brian when you were giving your last answer. I wanted to talk a little bit about the relations between Brian and College Station. You know, from BCS Habitat's perspective, we more see it broadly. We see more or less, one community, one labor market, one housing market. But we also see what looks like the cities maybe trying to work together in certain areas like tourism and then drifting apart. You've said that you think this is the way of the future, that, the experience BCS, didn't work. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about where you see College Station going in terms of Bryan?
Well, like it's always been. Bryan is the old county seat. Bryan was Bryan was the place where people went to do business.
Right.
Then the college was separated by about 5, 6, 7 miles of trees. I mean, there was no synergy between them. In fact, College Station as an identity began in 1876.
Yeah.
That's when you came in. And everything happened on campus. You had your schools on campus, you had your hotel on campus, you had housing on campus,
Sure.
Everything was on there. 1938, they voted to become an incorporated city. And since then, they've grown. Bryan has grown too. Bryan annexed as much as it could and tried to annex College Station, didn't.
Yeah, I heard about that.
North Oakwood subdivision in Bryan actually was built by Herschel Burgess and his development company and was considered part of College Station. But when they voted to incorporate, the North Oakwood subdivision said they didn't want to be part of College Station. They wanted to be with Bryan because Bryan had a better school.
Okay.
And that's why. Otherwise, that would have been part of College Station. So, listen, when we can work together, we work together.
Sure.
I painted as many homes, I know as many families in Bryan as I do College Station. But politically, we have different philosophies.
Okay.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You have listen, Highway 6 runs both ways. That's the one thing I heard real fast when I first came down here. And so, and that's the way it works. And I like it that we have options. You have different lifestyle, different philosophies, different politics. So, but we work together. I mean, we have the Twin City landfill together. We work with the library together. We have an agreement with that. We have interlocal agreements with the fire and the police and EMS. I mean, we're looking after people.
Sure.
Our concern is always about people. But in terms of politics, philosophy, they go in one direction and we're going in a different direction. Nothing wrong with that.
Okay. Do you see anything on the horizon that would say y'all get into more or less the same philosophy in the future, or you think this is where it'll be.
I think it's good to have choices. You know,
Okay.
I like competition. I think it's important.
Yeah,
All my
right.
life, never worked for anybody other than the person that wrote the check. And I was competing with every other painter in town, and believe me, there were a gazillion of them.
Right.
And I never was without work because I offered a product that people were willing to pay for and at a price that they thought was reasonable and better than the other guy.
Okay.
And that's it. And I think cities are the same way. I want to provide a city with amenities and services and things to enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like it a lot and you want to live here, fine. If you can still like it and live in another city, you can live in Navasota or Snook or Somerville or Bryan.
Okay.
And still enjoy the amenities here. We do. We go downtown. Downtown. When I came down here, downtown Bryan was the place to shop for things, and then it died.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had a council that had some vision, and they decided, look, let's build this back up, and it's wonderful. It's a great place, you know.
Yeah.
And our North Gate was just a place with the Aggie Den, Charlie's grocery store, and Carol's Corner. That was it.
Right.
2 pinball machines. That was all the entertainment. Okay, now it's downtown College Station.
Sure.
I mean, it's a thriving urban area.
Right.
So I don't see us competing. I mean,
Okay.
We work together on the Brazos Valley Economic Development Corporation, where we get together with the university, with the county, with the city of Bryan, and then we look at different businesses that we try to recruit to come in here. And the businesses decide, okay, I want to set up shop outside in the county or out in Bryan or in College Station.
Okay. Well, with the couple of minutes we have left, is there anything we've left out that you would like to discuss, or would you like to tell our audience how they can get involved in your campaign, contact you, things like that?
Oh, well, listen, if you vote for me, I appreciate it. If you don't, that's okay too. You know, it's not the end of the world. Everything goes on. Been here a long time, and we'll die in this town, and that's it. So if you want to know about what I've done in the past and what I look at now, you go to maloneyforcollegestation.com. I'm real proud of a lot of things we've accomplished, and there's a list of them. And I've just picked out the cherries on my website because I've served on just about every committee the city of College Station has ever had.
Wow.
On purpose, so I learned about it. I'm just a painter, you know, but I know how to read, got an English degree, so I know how to read. And I know how to paint houses, and I can speak Spanish, so I can paint houses.
Oh, great.
So it works. One thing that I'm working on now that I'm real excited about is providing a true recreation center for the city of College Station and the military museum for
Very cool.
Veterans Park. I think those would be tremendous assets for the community.
Great. Well, thank you so much for
It's my
speaking to
pleasure.
us today.
And thank
We
you for what
appreciate
you
it.
guys do, man. I mean, to tell you, and that's the thing about Habitat for Humanity. You guys vet things. You do the job right. You're honest. You're fair, and you're not exploiting the system. But you got to be careful of other nonprofits because they can come up and say, "Oh, you know, we love you and everything." Look at the NFL. They were a nonprofit. Think about that, folks.
Yep.
Goodwill. He makes $1 million a year. Think about that. I mean, so
Well, we appreciate
now
it.
you're going to get a job with Goodwill, huh?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much
My
again.
pleasure, Charlie. I appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you.